Today, I'm going to take the 21,840 hours of my life spent learning, tweaking, testing, failing, and testing again on how to build and sell a course. And I'm going to give you my most important takeaways over the next few minutes. My name is Seth Keeping It Real. I've built and sold courses for 8 years now, generating 10.2 million in course sales. And today, I bring you 6 top takeaways I learned doing this. Takeaway number 1, do not pick a fast-growing market. Create a new one instead. Every market falls into one of 3 categories, either wealth, health, or relationships. Yes, even yo-yos, whoopee cushions, and glow-in-the-dark socks still qualify. And let me give you an example. Let's watch one of the most famous Super Bowl commercials ever to hit the screen that came out in 2017. And the commercial was called Romance, and yet it was about Skittles candy.
Katie. 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 Romance the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
Even though that video was about food, a sugary food, I don't even know if that would qualify as food, the theme was romance. The theme was relationships. And they're using relationships to sell candy. All products fall under wealth or health or relationships. Even if it seems far-fetched, if you go back to the source, you will realize it all comes back to one of those 3. Now, beneath each of these 3 markets, you have what are called submarkets. A submarket is a subcategory to each of the 3 big markets. For example, wealth, as I mentioned, is a market. However, investing in crypto is a submarket. And beneath each submarket, you have what are called niches. For example, if wealth is a market and investing in crypto is a submarket, then investing in altcoin is a niche. This is usually where new businesses plant their flag, right in the middle of a big, fat, growing, saturated niche. And they get slaughtered. Because why would someone buy your product when you just entered the market, but others have been in the market for years? As the new kid on the block, you have no reason for buyers to consider your product and buy from you. And that is what you call a red ocean market, because the waters are bloodied with fierce competition of the sharks. There's just scraps of meat left over, and they're all going for it and fighting each other for it. And this is why you must create a hyper niche. Now, a hyper niche is a subcategory of a niche. But there's something uniquely different about the hyper niche. You do not find it, you create it. For example, wealth, there's your market. Investing in crypto, there's your submarket. Investing in altcoin, there's your niche. Investing in Ethereum to pay off your debts, that's your hyper niche. Let me give you another example. Relationships. Relationships is your market. Underneath that, you have marriage as a submarket. Underneath that, you have intimacy with your spouse, which is a niche. But then a hyper niche might be sexual intimacy with your spouse of 25 plus years. Sexual intimacy with your spouse of 25 plus years is a hyper niche. It's very specific. It's only for a specific subcategory of people who've been married for 25 years, only for married people, and not just any intimacy, but sexual intimacy. See how it's niched down in multiple ways? That's what you call a hyper niche. And when you create one, make sure that no one else has a course in your hyper niche. That brings me to takeaway number 2. Choose a course topic that you love and are good at. Income and impact will follow. You will make a lot of money. You will help a lot of people, but you don't actually have to worry about those yet. Just focus, number 1, on, do I love it and am I good at it? People overthink Ikigai. And I think in all fairness, it's a great program, but the problem is it's so thorough that it is paralyzing, because as soon as you find something that works for 3 of them, it doesn't work for the 4th. So you make that 4th work, but then that eliminates another one, and now you feel like you're always having to compromise something to come to a conclusion. When I created my first YouTube video that followed this concept, make sure it's something you're good at and that you love, I did 97,332 in coaching signups. just from that one video. And I loved it. I was good at it. And as a result, it impacted a ton of people and it made me a lot of money. Now, you might be thinking, well, Seth, just doing something you love and you're good at, how do you know it's going to make money? Well, we already covered that in the first point. Remember, you're creating a hyper niche that is a subcategory of a high demand niche, which means you're going to go fishing in the niche and you're going to pull fish from there into your pond, the hyper niche. That is how you know it is a strong market, because the niche is a strong market, but you're not going to make that your category. You're going to beat them. You're going to be a subcategory of that. And that brings me to takeaway number 3. The best time to start is now. I cannot overemphasize this enough. I've worked with over 10,000 entrepreneurs in almost the last decade. And the one thing I've seen constantly, it is those who start now end up succeeding sooner because they started, even when the time was not perfect. When I first decided to turn my knowledge and online business into a course that entrepreneurs could buy, it was the worst possible time. I had 4 kids, a wife, a full-time job at Apple, a booming Amazon store, and an online e-commerce business that was barely limping along. But I knew I wanted to help people. And I realized in that moment that it will never be the perfect time. If I wait for the stars to line up in my favor, then I will be in the grave before I start helping people. And so I started. And I was building this by scratch. And it took me literally thousands of hours of building and testing and failing and rebuilding and tweaking and testing and failing until I figured out not only how to build this, but how to do it spending only 1 hour a day, 6 days a week, but also how to include content that people would pay me money for. I like how Lemony Snicket put it. He says, if you wait until you're ready, you will be waiting the rest of your life. And that brings me to takeaway number 4. Get a mentor. It will save you time and it will make you money. Remember, time is one of those things, those assets that you never get a refund on. Once it's past, you can't get it back. And money is something you can lose and you can make. But you don't want a mentor who just shows you how to budget and shows you how to save money. You want one who can show you how to make money. You don't want to just play defense. That's more Dave Ramsey style. You also want to play offense. That's more Robert Kiyosaki style. When I launched my first course teaching people how to sell on Amazon, I had 0 course sales. And I tried everything. I tried funnels. I tried organic marketing. I tried ads. I spent so many hours trying and failing. And then I heard about this crazy guy from New Zealand, Sam Ovens, who started in his parents' garage and built his consulting business to 80 million. I knew I needed to buy his program, but I kept putting it off month after month. And then finally, I came to the realization that I can keep thinking and planning forever, but nothing will change until I commit. And that's when I made a decision. I am buying Sam Ovens' program to force myself to commit. And so I did. I ended up paying $8,000. If I remember right, it was 2 different courses, one for $2,000, one for $6,000. And that was the best $8,000 I ever spent. Not because of his content so much. It turns out over 80% of the content I already knew, but because the sacrifice of $8,000 made the loss too great if I didn't follow through. Like, I've been doing this for almost a decade, and I can tell you this: people who pay more end up succeeding more. People who pay less end up succeeding less. It's a psychological thing. When someone has spent more money on something, they think, I have to make this work because I can't just spend that money and not make it work. And then they go and make it happen. In the next 90 days, I broke the $100,000 barrier. Everything is possible when you have 2 things. Number 1, a plan. And number 2, going all in. Sam Ovens' training cost me $8,000, and it was one of the best investments in my life because it forced me to move to action. Had I never made that sacrifice, I would never have made the $100,000 in 90 days. Everyone always tends to focus on the plan, but until you go all in, nothing will change. It's one thing to plan, you can plan forever, but you got to go all in when you build your business. And that brings me to takeaway number 5. Market your course by documenting, not creating. This is one of the most common questions I get. Seth, how do I advertise it? How do I get it out there? Now, I am not dissing ads. There's a time and place for them, and that can be a great way. But what I recommend, especially if you're starting out, is instead of creating content from scratch, just document your process as you go. Document what you are learning and share it with the world. Your mistakes as well. If you want people to pay attention, stop chasing perfection and start showing up consistently. Document your journey instead of trying to create the perfect image, because authenticity beats strategy when it comes to building influence. I cannot tell you how many times I've recorded a YouTube video right here in the studio, and after recording, I thought, man, I'm not really too proud of that video and I'm kind of embarrassed, but I had a fever, I had a headache, and I knew I couldn't do it a second time. And so I just had to let it be. Next time I'll do better. Next time I'll do better. And the cool thing is when you have that much volume going out, you start learning what's working better and what isn't, because you have a large sample of data to pull from. The biggest mistake new entrepreneurs make is overthinking. Just hit record, speak what you know, and keep going for 365 days. That would be my challenge to you. If you find yourself always trying to create that perfect piece of content, it will stress you out. And you'll end up discouraged because there will always be someone creating better content than you. So instead of focusing on perfection, focus on just this: consistency. This will market your course powerfully without you spending a single dime on ads at this point. Now, in the future, if you want to do that, can that scale it? Yes. But if you don't have an experience in that yet and you want to start making money now, this is a great way to move to action. And that brings me to takeaway number 6. When your course makes a lot of money, remember, your income does not define your worth. I went from $24,000 in debt, working for the richest company in the world, Apple, to full-time Amazon seller, to consulting for Amazon, Forever 21, and BMW, and later co-founder of a coaching company worth $50 million. And then I lost it all in COVID. And at one point was selling furniture out of the garage just to pay for food. But here was the one constant through it all. God never measured my worth based on my outward success. In fact, my worth had nothing to do with my achievements and failures. Oh, and the religious ones too. Going to church, reading the Bible, praying, sharing my faith. That has nothing to do with my worth. That does not increase my worth in any way. God doesn't need that stuff to be happy. He doesn't need that stuff to be happy with me. What he wants is my heart, because if my heart is there, that stuff will flow out just naturally as a byproduct. My worth through all of that, through low money, low money, and then rebuilding, has always been based on one thing, and that is God's love for me. Because Jesus did not die for kangaroos, even though they're super cool, jumpy animals. Jesus did not die for cats. Jesus did not die for rabbits or trees or grass. Jesus did not die for angels or demons. Jesus died for humans. Jesus bled for you and for me. That is how much he loves you. The greatest expression of love in the entire universe is when one person gives up their life so that others may live. And that's exactly what Jesus did over 2,000 years ago. And today he lives. So let your worth be in him. Your business is just an additional blessing in your life. And let me tell you, God loves blessing his children. Hey, if you enjoy content like this, click the link below and I'll make sure to send you something every single day.